Where am I? Okay. Thank you so much for having me, Lee and Philip, here at the World Hope Forum. It's a pleasure to be here and also in the company of so many wonderful people who are creating such hope through their works. Well, I am Cynthia Hathaway, a designer, and I mostly work through artistic research, but I'm more of a searcher, I think you could say, than a researcher. I always bracket the re of research and emphasize the searching. Through wool, I try to create the commons by bringing expertises of many together to make spaces and places to do so, to widen the circle of knowing or unknowing, to ask, who are our teachers? Who and what do we exclude in knowledge making and sharing? And I create working landscapes to make public space more public. I search for examples of co-working landscapes, usually in places made off the radar, and yet are incredible examples of multi-species relations, multi-knowing, making with, and embracing complexity. These are places where the 9 to 5 does not exist. To work is a constant weaving of an acknowledgement to survive well, to be in sync, and to see working webs of entanglements between human and non-human. And I have found a material to show me the way, to follow and to map, to see how incredibly rich a system is, but that is simplified and devalued the minute it grows off the back of, in this case, a sheep. And this is following the wool dry. Instead of being in my head in the books, I learned through doing, starting from scratch, and meeting serendipitously those along a trail or a path. And when I take my map with me that actually started almost like a blank page out into the world, it's where I ask for help. I position myself as not knowing, learning from those mostly on the ground. And as I do, I create these knowledge maps that I always have in my backpack to fill out together with those that I walk with. Thus, I have followed this wool path, or dry in French, walked with shepherds and sheep, starting from just outside my door in the Netherlands. This is in Tilburg. In France, followed shepherds, eaten with them, collected mushrooms. This incredible multi-knowing of a shepherd is something we cannot be nostalgic about. It's not to be romanticized. These people are our teachers, and they exist, but are actually, unfortunately, maybe on the brink of extinction, but we won't let that happen. And I have also walked into the mountains of the Picos de Europa in Spain to learn in an outdoor classroom, to experience these co-working landscapes that are very busy, very noisy, but in sync. Up there in the mountains, it's extremely loud. This is no romantic place. This is a place of baaing and mooing and the yelps of the shepherds and so many bells. It's also a place, this co-working landscape, where it is a place of sweating to make place. It's a place of knowledge which is so deep and interdisciplinary, and a mix of ancient with new knowledge, of how to produce work in balance and in context. The wool trail grows as it leads me virtually to Pakistan, to Wool Mountain. This is Datini Fibers in Karachi. This is an end and beginning, again, of the wool cycle, often unseen and unheard. But vital to woolly, it's a very vital woolly node taking care of, in this case, 5,000 tons a year of global post-consumer sweater waste and processing it into fibers for production again. And back to another mountain, this time of Dutch wool waste, uncleaned, unprocessed, bought from farmers for pennies a kilo and sent off to China. 95% or more of Dutch wool is exported. And that image that you just saw was only part of the 1.2 million kilos of wool produced and collected, and from the 800,000 sheep in the Netherlands. So what can we do? How can we try to keep what's going out in, explore with others the value of wool as a way to move more lightly on the planet, to produce and use to its full potential a sustainable material if produced with multi-knowing systems, to make matters matter through wool. Well, I set up the sweat shop or the sweater shop. It's a place to sweat, a place to make place through wool. Here I set up in a knowledge-making institution of siloed expertise at the Utrecht University's Utrecht Science Park to make together local sweaters with local resources. Here from the wool of the 325 sheep of the veterinarian training farm. Students and teachers, security guards, canteen personnel, cleaners, felt hobbyists, the general public came together and we made with the local wool sweaters. And these sweaters amounted to about 100 sweaters, which equaled 100 hands or 100 people at work to make place. Here I am at the Bospolder Tussendijk neighborhood in Rotterdam. Another setup in another place that I call a knowledge center, in neighborhoods that are often overlooked, but have ancestral knowledge of wool in their bones, in their DNA. Whether they know it or not, it comes through felting together. Iranian, Syrian, Turkish, Moroccan, Algerian, Armenian hands and hearts felt blankets and collect stories of cultural connections to wool. These stories and all the others I've collected are voiced. They get off the page and through hands and hearts into the wool and become actions, messages of collective urgency and urgent collection. Walk lighter on the planet in Spanish. Our wool stays here in Dutch. In winter, it keeps me warm. In summer, it keeps me cool in Croatian. In Turkish, wool was a currency. In French, value all wool. Sheep must be every year sheared in Dutch. The shearing of a sheep costs more than what is given for its wool. Negative sense for wool? No. Fertilizer, isolation, bricks, socks. Walk with us. Listen to wool. Down with microplastics, up with my natural fibers. Lower the heat, put a sweater on. Wool was traded for candy in Turkish. And of course, we can't ignore the brown, the dark wool that is actually never given much money for, but is of course incredibly unique. So stand out with wool, and wool is different from the rest. It's time to take these stories, these collections, to the streets, to give them legs. These collective thoughts and action of 100 walkers with 2 feet, with 250 walkers with 4 feet. We must march. We are the Wool March. We start in Tilburg, and we map with shepherds and the local herd where we are going to walk. We start at a historical meeting point of a woolen textile industry that made Tilburg, and we start at the Textile Museum. This is a place where the sheep start to animate this space of history. They say, hello, we are here, we have always been, follow us. We don armbands. We don blankets. We don bells to make noise. We are a celebration.
Okay, Liam, don't lean on me. Okay, ready? Let's go.
We are coming back through and along our ancient but now paved shepherding paths that made this city, its roots, with hooves making the city once again. In a joy we follow. We walk past once textile worker houses. Some were loom and weaver houses. We bring people out of their homes to punctuate the day with, what is this? What is that? We want more. We start walking closer to the city, and we walk under the walls of the city, now modern train tracks. We pass mansions built from the wool industry. And as you notice, the city seems ready. It's empty for us. This is 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It's opened its roads. We pass and reanimate monuments, once very spiritual centers. And here the sheep pass the church called the Grote Herder Kerk, which is the church of the shepherd. We pass ancient watering holes along with new ones. We stop transport for transhumans. We can even stop a Porsche. We say hello to Wool Heritage, now a textile factory, the Abbey factory that was once a beautiful wool making industry of Tilburg, which is now turned into a shopping mall. From pasture to pasture, we follow the sheep. Hierarchies change or even disappear, are reformulated. We follow the sheep and shepherd. We reach the pasture where the sheep decide to stop and graze, and we all take a good rest. We exchange blankets from sheep to human, and we have succeeded as a flock. Walking with, we become shepherds in a multitude of ways, experiencing custodian relations, companionship, and being obligated to craft ways of helping life and lives flourish. Well, until we walk again, I thank you so much.
Thank you, Cynthia.
Wow.
Lee, I know that you were on that march with all these people.
Yeah, with all my friends.
You can tell us how it was like.
It was crazy because it's not walking, it's actually fast walking. These animals, they're walking so fast that we had really difficulty to catch up. So that was, we thought it was going to be leisure. It was actually really sport. That was fun. You have a very nice sweater, Philip.
I know.
Beautiful.
On because it's so amazing. It's a wool sweater. I'm going to talk about it in a second after Cynthia, but I can smell the lanolin, so I have at least the scent aspect of your presentation.
Oh, that's so nice. I think that sweating to make place, Lee, is part of it. That it's hard work again. We have to work and we have to sweat, and our landscapes are about co-working. And I didn't know that it was going to be so fast either. I have walked with sheep, but boy, were they ready to go. You know, they don't like being penned in, and that's also something that we have bred out of sheep, is this intelligence to know where to go. In fact, it was and still is inherited from the mothers of sheep to follow and know where to go intuitively, to the point of not having to use any fences. So this sort of idea of co-working and learning and starting from scratch and following.
We also learned that there's a lot of young shepherds in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
There's actually a shepherd school also, and it's becoming very popular to become a shepherd, contemporary. I think it's fantastic that it's making this revival. And I love this work you do because it's so necessary. We need to walk more often in all countries, I guess. Yeah. Because this is true, whole Europe, it's the same story.
You've got it, because that's also why I am very much thinking we can go local, but what do we do also when we do that? We stop actually these very important nodes of knowledge and expertise, such as the recycler of Datini fibers and Hasnain Leilani in Pakistan, who is dealing with our wool waste. And actually a lot of garments have been made in Pakistan. So these circles are happening, but we have to be very careful to recognize our choices and how we decide to deal with locality, because we are webbed.
Exactly.
Thank you so much, Cynthia, for being with us today. It's a good preview of what we're going to perhaps see when you come back for the Canadian World Hope Forum.
Yes. Well, we're going to watch, the next plan is to do this wool march in many cities in Europe, and also to march to Brussels to support those who are trying to change policy of wool being considered a waste product.
Great.
So
that's
please,
great.
let's join forces.
I'll go there. Yeah.
Okay, great.
So
Thank you.
Thank you.
The audience can follow this initiative through the Instagram account, which is Wool March. I put it in the chat earlier, so you can check it out. And we look forward to many more marches on other cities soon, Cynthia. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So I'm going to